Hi there, I'm Jamie. Do you want to play a stringed instrument and you're not sure which one to choose? You want the easiest one, right? A lot of people think that size matters. It doesn't. You don't want to go right for the mandolin because it's small. However, the ukulele, which is also small, might be the instrument for you. So I'm going to give you an overview of several different instruments and help you make a decision about what instrument to start on. This is also good advice if you already play a stringed instrument and you want to move on to another one, but you're not sure which one. So here's a ukulele. This is a tenor ukulele. I love ukuleles because they're versatile. A lot of people think that you got to bust out into Tiptoe Through the Tulips or something. You do not. On a ukulele you can play everything from jazz to bluegrass. It only has 4 strings. They're nylon, so they're a little easier on your fingers than the steel stringed instruments I'm going to show you later. And you only need one finger to do some chords, like here's a C chord. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. Yeah. Now you can get them in a lot of different sizes. I also have a soprano ukulele, which is smaller. This one only cost me $89 brand new. So that's another cool thing about a ukulele. It's usually a smaller financial investment. So if you decide you don't like it, then you've only spent $89 and then you can give it to your kid to play Rockstar with or whatever. Also, some people worry about the size of the instrument, but I've seen some pretty big people with pretty big hands play a little ukulele, so don't let that stop you. So let's move on to another instrument that I think is fairly easy to play. And that's the dulcimer. There's 2 kinds of dulcimers. This is a lap dulcimer, also known as an Appalachian dulcimer. The cool thing about this instrument is that these set of strings right here, and in some dulcimers it's 1 string, that's where you play the melody line. These other 2 strings are drones, you do not play them. So you really only have to play this 1 string, and usually you can pick out a melody for a favorite song the first time you sit down with it. So here's why it's called a lap dulcimer, because it's played on the lap. Cool, huh? Now these aren't too much of an investment either. They are a little harder to find. Not every store carries them. I purchased this one at an arts fair right from the luthier, which was very cool. So consider the dulcimer, especially if you're a fan of folk music. Although I've heard it in other genres, you know, Cyndi Lauper plays one, so she's not a folk artist. The other instrument that you might want to consider is an autoharp. And the cool thing about those is that you just press a button and you've got a chord and then you strum it. Press another button, you've got another chord, and you strum it. They might cost a little more. I've never purchased one, but you hear those a lot in folk music as well as other genres. So those are the 3 easiest instruments in my opinion. So let's move on to the next category, the ones that have a little bit of a learning curve. I'm going to start with the guitar. Everybody knows the guitar. And the guitar is very portable. You can play any kind of instrument with it, and you don't have to know music theory or anything fancy. If you can remember shapes, like this is a D chord, which is shaped like a triangle, then the guitar might be the instrument for you. Here's a C, and that's shaped like a diagonal. So that's how I remember chords, is by the shape. You can buy a guitar that has steel strings like this one. There are also guitars with nylon strings. Nylon strings can be easier on your fingers, but in my opinion, they're a little more narrow in versatility. So nylon string guitars are used mostly for classical, for folk, and a few other genres. A steel string guitar, you can play anything. Although having said that, you know, Willie Nelson plays a nylon string guitar, and he plays the poop out of it, so your mileage may vary. You can also choose to get a 12-string guitar. Those can be a little more challenging in that you've got double strings, so it makes it a little harder to press down. If you've never played the guitar before, I recommend a 6-string first. If you already play a stringed instrument, then knock yourself out. Get a 12-string. They have a really wonderful full sound. If you want guitar lessons, I do teach via Skype, as well as in my home studio in Ottawa, Canada. I also travel for workshops. So let's look at the next instrument that I think is in that second category, and that would be the banjo. I love the banjo because I love bluegrass. The cool cool thing about the banjo is that it's already tuned to a chord. I don't have to press any strings down, and I'm already at a G chord. Very cool. Of course, you can make chords on it. Now I play bluegrass style, which is finger picking, and that takes a little bit of time to learn. You have to have rock solid timing for that. But like in any instrument, it can be learned. There are other styles of music that include strumming, which I don't do. A banjo is heard in folk, bluegrass, all sorts of genres, but mostly in folk and bluegrass. The other instrument that you may want to consider that's in this second category is an electric bass. I don't have one to show you, but basically with an electric bass you're playing single notes. That's that really low sound that you hear in a lot of bands. Learn a few patterns, learn how to put them into songs, and then you're done. Probably the most challenging part of playing an electric bass is learning to sing and play at the same time. Now, notice I keep saying electric bass. Acoustic basses are a different animal. Those are those big things you see in orchestras and in bluegrass bands sometimes. And the thing about those is that they don't have any frets. So if you wanted to play an F note on a stand-up bass, you'd have to really think about where that is because you've got no frets to guide you. On a guitar, I can go right to an F because the frets tell me where to put my fingers. So there's that to consider. Alright, so let's move on to the next category, the category of instruments that I think are the most challenging. I'll start with the mandolin. Now the mandolin really could fit between categories 2 and 3. If you already play a stringed instrument like maybe the guitar, then the mandolin isn't going to be quite as challenging. The thing about the mandolin, there's something about, oops, my strap came off. There's something about the physics of the mandolin that make the strings a little harder to press down. I don't know if it's because they're double strings or because of the way they're constructed. I'm not sure, but even after playing the guitar for 30 years, when I first picked up a mandolin, it was like, ooh, ouch. Once I got into it, once I practiced, I got it. But and there are some two-finger chords that you can play with the mandolin that makes it accessible. Like this is a G, here's a D. So that's cool, but then if you want to play bluegrass, you want to play these 4-finger chords. This is called a bluegrass chop, and this is the percussion of a bluegrass band. And so it's good to know those kinds of chords, and that takes a little bit of a learning curve. They are very cool little instruments though. I mean, one of the reasons that I picked it up is that I got tired of being one of 47 guitars at a jam, and this way I can show up and I may be the only mandolin player. There's certainly not going to be 47 mandolin players. So if you're really committed and you do want to learn an instrument, especially the mandolin, I don't want to dissuade you, but if you've never played a stringed instrument before, I highly recommend the ukulele, the lap dulcimer, or the autoharp. You would also find in the next category guitar, including all kinds of guitars, steel, nylon, and 12-string, the banjo, or the electric bass. If you want more of a challenge, this instrument here. And if you really want a challenge, try an instrument with a lot of strings, like a harp or a hammered dulcimer. I think you have to have a physics degree to play one of those, but I don't play one. I mean, maybe if I decided to and I took some lessons, I would feel differently, but that's where I'm at right now. So I know I'm going to hear from all you hammered dulcimer players, right? I love the instrument, just don't know about it. So, there you go. If you want lessons, I would love to hear from you. I teach ukulele, guitar, mandolin, and songwriting. You can reach me at the address below. I also travel for workshops. And please check out jamieanderson.com. I'm also a performer and a writer. Thanks a lot.